Did you know that you can read anyone's mind, using 3 simple techniques? Next, we will see what these techniques are and how we can use them. These techniques are crucial to master any situation. By mastering these methods, you can easily discern and understand what any person is thinking. The story begins like this. In a small village, long ago, there lived 2 brothers. The older brother was blind, so he spent most of his time at home, while the younger brother worked as a farmer in the fields. Often, they would find the farm completely destroyed by wild animals. The younger brother was worried about this problem, but eventually devised a solution. After what happened on the farm, he thought the following: why don't I ask my blind brother for help, to scare away the animals in the fields? He could sit among the crops and alert if he hears any animal noises. In this way, we would ensure the protection of our crops. After meditating, the younger brother erected a small hut in the field, and took the older brother inside. He explained to him, "Brother, if you hear any animal sounds, just shout, and you will scare them away. Just shout, and you will scare them away. This will preserve our crops." The older brother accepted his brother's proposal, and began to take his place in the field. Every time he heard the sound of animals, he would shout to scare them away. This routine continued for several days. On one occasion, a deer ran across the field, knocking down part of the fence before running away. Soon after, a king following the deer also arrived on the scene. The monarch pointed to the blind brother, and asked him, "Have you seen a deer around here?" The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I am blind, how can I see a deer? However, I can tell you that the animal that left my field does not deserve your pursuit. You are wasting your time." The king was surprised by the blind brother's words, and questioned him how he knew. He doubted whether the blind brother was lying, since he claimed to be blind, but gave his opinion on the value of the deer. In response, the blind brother said, "Your Majesty, the animal you think is a deer is actually a pregnant doe. I have never heard of a king hunting a pregnant doe. So I say to you that it is not worth your chase. You should not waste your time chasing her." The king was astonished to hear this, unable to understand how the blind man could identify the doe as pregnant. He wondered how a blind man could know this. How could he be sure if the deer he was chasing was pregnant or not? He felt the need to verify it, and instructed his commander, "Commander, I want that animal alive. I need to confirm if it really is a pregnant doe. The blind brother seems to be very sure about it, and I need to investigate. Please go and find out if she is pregnant." The king's orders were received by the commander, who left. When he returned, he informed the king that the blind brother was right, and that the doe was pregnant. The king was filled with astonishment and could not understand how the blind person knew about the doe's pregnancy. He wondered how a blind person could know this. How could he be sure if the doe was pregnant? How could he be sure if the deer he was chasing was pregnant or not? Asked the blind brother to get to the bottom of this. He said, "I may not be certain whether you are truly blind or not, but I have come with a question. Will you undertake to provide me with the correct answer?" In response, the blind brother said, "Your Majesty, you may ask me whatever you wish, and I will answer you honestly." The king commented, "You are a perceptive individual, and you seem to possess a profound knowledge of various matters. Today I have summoned you to discover whether my wife is being unfaithful to me, or not." The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, why do you raise such a question? Your marriage has endured over many years, and now such questions arise in your mind." However, the king insisted, stating, "You must answer this question. If you do not provide an answer, I will subject you to the penalty of death." Before the king's threat, the blind brother said, "Your Majesty, if you wish to know the answer, you must grant me a favor." The king asked, "Tell me what I must do." The blind brother replied, "For that you will have to leave me alone with your wife in a room." Initially, the king was irritated by the proposal, but eventually he accepted the request, and ordered his commander to leave the blind brother and the queen alone in a room. At that instant the blind brother expressed his desire to have physical contact with the queen. At this statement, the queen became enraged, and lashed out at the blind brother with fury, using her hands, feet, and all her strength. After the altercation, the blind man managed to escape, and went straight to the king. The blind brother then informed the king, "Your Majesty, your wife is not faithful." Enraged, the king unsheathed his sword, and walked towards the queen, asking her a question, and warning her that any lie would result in her execution. The question was about the queen's fidelity, to which she replied, "Your Majesty, you can kill me, but I am not faithful." The king was relieved to confirm that everything the blind brother had said was true. Upon hearing this, the king immediately turned to the blind brother, and asked him, "How did you know that my wife was not faithful?" The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, it's quite simple. I mentioned to your wife my desire to touch her, and she reacted with such fury, that she began to strike me. Instead of refusing, she opted for violence, thus touching my whole body in the process. Now tell me, how can a woman who acts in such a way be faithful?" Impressed by the blind man's wisdom, the king said, "You are very perceptive. Let us continue. Answer another question correctly, and I will set you free." The king asked, "Tell me, am I really my father's son or someone else's?" To this, the blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, why do you care about this question? No matter who your parents are, you are the king of this kingdom. Let this question be dispelled." However, the king insisted, No, I want the exact answer, otherwise, it will always torment me. So I wish to know the truth." The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I can reveal to you whose son you are right now. But first, I need your promise that you will not be angry." The king said, "I promise that I will not be angry with you." Then, the blind brother revealed, "You are truly your father's son. But you are also under the influence of a stingy merchant." Hearing this, the king ran to his mother and asked her, "Mother, please tell me the truth. Am I really my father's son or someone else's? If you don't tell me the truth, I will give up my life right here." The king's mother replied, "Son, you are truly your father's son. But you are also under the influence of a stingy merchant." Full of relief, the king immediately went back to the blind brother. He asked him, "How did you know that the shadow of a stingy merchant was upon me?" The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, I have answered many of your questions correctly, and yet, so far, I have not received a single penny. From this, I deduce that you are extremely stingy." The king burst out laughing, and said, "Whatever you ask, I will grant it. But tell me, how do you know what is right, and what is wrong? How can you provide answers so precise and exact?" The blind brother said, "Your Majesty, I am blind by nature. If eyes, I could easily understand anyone's thoughts. The mind has its language, and this language is reflected in the actions of a person's body. By observing the eyes, the lips, the way they work, and the activities of a person, one can understand what is going on in his mind. Based on this, we can know anyone's thoughts. But I am blind, so I perceive through actions. If I want to know something, I have to assign a task to the next person, to see how they perform the task. And based on that, I can understand what is going on in their mind." The king asked then, "Does it mean that I can also understand someone's thoughts?" To this question, the blind brother answered, "Undoubtedly, you can also grasp the thoughts of any person. But before that, you need to work on yourself. The work consists in quieting your mind and bringing it to the present. For this, today I will reveal to you 3 methods, very simple and accessible. However, Your Majesty, before we go into it, you must perform an action. Concentrate your mind. When we focus our mind and connect it with the present moment, we are able to understand the thoughts of others. Since that person is thinking in the present, it is fundamental to bring our minds to the now as well. Only in this way, we will be able to understand their thoughts. If we are absorbed in past events, how will we know what the other person is thinking at this moment? We are immersed in past events. To decipher someone's thoughts, it is essential, first of all, to center our minds and bring them to the present. Then, the blind brother continued, "Now, Your Majesty, I will reveal to you the 3 simple ways by which you can easily understand the thoughts of any individual." Then, the blind man shared with the king, "O Majesty, the first method is to pay attention to the eyes. When we engage in a conversation with someone, the most crucial thing is to fix our gaze on their eyes. For the eyes, although they do not speak, They communicate much. I learned this skill from the revered Buddha Gautama many years ago, when he was my teacher and guide. At that time, he had eyes and could discern people's thoughts only through their eyes. If you want to understand other people's thoughts, you must concentrate on their eyes, on their gaze, on the direction in which they are facing. If while you are talking to them, their eyes move from side to side, it indicates that they are looking for a way to evade the conversation, and that someone is possibly lying. If they avoid direct eye contact, it could mean that they are afraid that their deception will be discovered, and that the truth will come out. However, if they stare at you without looking away, they are likely to be sincere, and willing to share their thoughts with you. Also pay attention to how their eyebrows move. If they lower them while averting their gaze, it could be a sign of intense reflection or concern for another. If they raise them and their eyes widen, they may be surprised or intrigued by what you are saying. In addition, observe the size of her pupils, as these reveal a lot. As she kept looking at me, showing restlessness, and a desire to leave quickly, I suspected that perhaps he was hiding something, and did not wish to prolong the conversation. As I asked more questions, I discovered that he had a secret plan. Similarly, different facial expressions can give us access to a person's thoughts. Sometimes, a person reveals different moods through their face. If we focus on facial expressions, we can discern whether they are disappointed, deeply sad, or extraordinarily happy. The eyes and body are the messengers of these feelings. In times of sadness, they will reflect that emotion, while a genuine smile, one that lights up the eyes and lifts the cheeks, indicates joy, kindness, and benevolence. The eyes play a crucial role. When they narrow and shine, you can trust that the smile is genuine. Also, observe the space between the eyebrows, where the skin wrinkles. When it tightens and deepens, it often indicates confusion, deep thoughts, or the effort to understand something complicated. The second way lies in paying attention to body language. The body and hands have the ability to communicate much without resorting to words, constituting a sort of secret language, where you can perceive what people want and feel through small actions. Imagine someone who, while talking to you, tapping their fingers rapidly, or making a repetitive tapping sound. This could signal boredom, hurry, or a desire to end the conversation. I remember one encounter, where I met someone who was trying to sell me something. During the conversation, his fingers were tapping rapidly on the object he was promoting, so I could interpret that he was disinterested or anxious to end the conversation. This indicates that he is paying careful attention. This behavior reflects his genuine interest and desire to listen more. I remember an astute professor who used to adopt this posture. Although he was serene, he would lean in with interest, manifesting his desire to delve deeper into the subject. Sometimes, people who constantly manipulate their faces as they speak can provide you with clues about their thoughts. This gesture often indicates uneasiness, deep reflection, or discomfort with something. Also, the movement of the hands can reveal a lot. For example, if someone quickly touches their nose during a conversation, it could suggest that they are lying, or not being completely truthful. Observing the attention they devote to our words, and understanding what is going on in their minds, can make it easier to interpret their thoughts. However, before doing so, it is crucial to focus your mind, and bring it to the present. Only then, you will be able to pay attention to all these actions, interpret them, and perceive what is going on in the person's mind. If you are engrossed in past or future events, you will never be able to attend to the person's body language, and you will never understand what they are thinking. Now, let us move on to the third way. Before I share it with you, it is imperative that you focus your mind. When we direct our attention and anchor it in the present, we are able to understand the thoughts of others, for that person is immersed in the here and now. Likewise, it is necessary to bring our minds to the present. Only then will we be able to grasp their thoughts. Continuing with the third way, the blind brother expressed, "O king, in order to understand someone's thoughts, pay attention to their voice. Voice has the power to reveal much about what a person is thinking and feeling. Fast, rushed speech can denote nervousness, anxiety, or excitement. You found someone who speaks in a slow, relaxed manner. They are probably serene and in control. Also, watch the tone of their voice. A high-pitched tone can signal anger or frustration, while a soft, calm one indicates tranquility and relaxation. I remember once conversing with someone who pretended to be happy, but their voice was tense and raised. This discrepancy raised doubts about their genuine happiness. It raised doubts about their true happiness. The voice can also reveal emotions, such as when someone sighs, shouts, or genuinely laughs. By paying attention to the way they pronounce words and the tone they use, you can easily understand their thoughts and emotions. That's right, Your Majesty. These are the 3 ways I have shared today. Observe the eyes, the body language, and the voice of the person. Focus your attention on these 3 aspects, and you will be able to understand with ease the thoughts of anyone. However, remember, you must first focus your mind and bring it to the present. Only then will you be able to pay attention to all these actions, interpret them, and perceive what is going on in the person's mind. In this way, you will be able to know their thoughts and elevate your life. I hope this wonderful story has helped you to understand how they feel and what people may be thinking with whom you interact in your daily life. Remember to leave your like if you liked the video, and subscribe so you don't miss more content like this. Until next time.